Welcome back, everyone, to another week of Elements of the Unknown. I am one of your hosts, Jason McGray, sitting here beside
Justin Hugh.
Yep,
That's me.
that's him.
And Jason McGray's the other guy.
That is true.
So-
And we are taking a break for a minute. We need to calm down.
Yeah.
We got all these demons floating around and exorcists floating around, and our brains are exploding.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to some demonology stuff, which runs hand in hand with it, and we're going to talk about the Warrens, just not right now.
No.
We're going to, spitball.
Yeah, man.
This is our spitball day.
Yeah, just
Not
random.
snowball, spitball.
See, I like these episodes where we just go into random stuff, take a break from the usual unknown topics. This is kind of unknown itself, just not knowing where it's going to go. But, what I really like to do is I like to reflect. So today, when I was in the hotel, I was just relaxing and just watching TV. I'm like, you know what? Let me go onto the page. So I went onto our page and I started scrolling through old episodes and old posts and stuff like that. I'm like, it hasn't been a long journey, but it already feels like we've gone from one point to a higher point. You know what I mean? I feel like we've made it pretty far. We're over 1,000 followers.
Yeah, that's an impressive
if you
thing.
would have told me when we first started that we'd already be at 1K, considering we officially started in March, and we're not even July. Tomorrow's July.
Yeah.
By this point, we would be already over 1,000 followers.
Yeah, and we did it in 2 months. And
That is insane.
We're now at the point where we're just over 3 months into this. It does feel like we've been doing it a lot longer. The only reason I can think of for that is because we covered so much material already.
Yeah.
And yet there's still so much material to cover that we haven't done. We haven't even done our Mothman episode yet that you've been begging me to do.
I teased you with it the one day. I'm like, hey, want to do Mothman? And you're like, no.
Yeah,
you're not ready.
Now that I bought you a copy of Mothman Prophecies, I kind of want you to read it first.
Sure.
And then, you know what? And you got Nights at the Hotel.
I can't believe that you did that. I still can't believe you got me that.
I believe everybody needs to have a copy of Mothman Prophecies. It is so good.
And that's so because
John
everybody
Keels.
that you hear talk, anybody that is involved with this within this community and who speak out, whatever, you always hear them refer to Mothman Prophecies by John Keel.
Yeah.
It is a well-known book, a well-read book, and I can't wait to dive into it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good read. I don't read books, but I have a feeling this is going to be the start of an addiction.
What? And I get that way sometimes too. I used to read a lot when I was a kid. And then as I got older, I found I had a lot of trouble reading books because I think I would read a page or two and I would start falling asleep. I think it would relax me or something.
Okay.
Not that I was bored of the material. It was just that it was relaxing me. So I couldn't read. So I just stopped trying. But I found once I pick up a book that really engages me,
Yep.
I can't put it down. I can't stop.
Okay.
And when I started with Mothman Prophecies, I was on vacation. I think it was like a Christmas break or something last year. And I picked it up and I must have sat there for 2 hours reading. And I was just blown away. Just kept reading and reading and reading. And by the time this episode comes out, I'll have already gone on vacation because I'm on vacation mode right now. I intend on reading another John Keel book while I'm gone.
Sure.
And I'm sure it's going to have all kinds of information that I'm just going to want to go nuts with. But yeah, I want you to read Mothman.
Yep.
And then we'll definitely talk about Mothman Prophecies and different things about Mothman stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, you're reflecting back, you're seeing
Yeah, man.
the growth
I
I
love.
love our audience. A negative and a positive. I love our audience. I love how fast this has grown. It feels great,
Mm-hmm.
and bringing at the threshold of bringing people in to help us. And my negative is I would love for our audience to just interact a little bit more.
That's
That that's all. But if you don't want to, cool.
No, they
I'm
better.
happy that you're
No.
just listening
No,
and paying attention.
no, they need to interact.
Just,
I have all their IP addresses
and he's gonna show up at your house, and he's not
with
gonna,
my chopper.
And you know what?
And Arnold.
No, he's not
Yes.
even gonna take a chopper.
Chopper.
You know what he's gonna do?
A tank.
Nope.
Okay.
He's gonna go through Hollow Earth to get to you.
I found the tunnel. Do you have a favorite moment?
A favorite moment?
Favorite episode that we've done?
It feels
Anything
like we're
like
doing
that.
a look back on the year. We've only done 3 months.
Why not do it quarterly? Every 3 months we
Favorite
reflect.
moment.
Yeah.
Man, I think right now my favorite moment is kind of like a ball of moments.
Okay.
And that's the initial kickoff. The initial kickoff that we did where we ramped up and we got organized and we had meetings
Mm-hmm.
like for weeks before we launched an episode, and we just got all the ideas and the creative juices flowing and creating the logo and getting the hype built up and the excitement that we had of launching stuff. And it was like, oh man, we got one person listening. Oh man, we have 2 people listening.
Right?
And then it's like we were just, and I was like, you can ask at home. Like I was obsessively looking at the numbers like 10 times a day.
Dude,
just
you
to
would
see
message me like 10 times a day. Dude, we're at 5. We're at 10.
Yeah.
Bro, when we hit 20 listeners or even 20 followers,
Yeah.
I was flabbergasted. I'm like, oh my God. And a lot of that was friends of ours supporting us.
Yeah.
Right? Whether they
love
all
that.
listen or not is different, but that's cool.
I think some of them are though, so quite religiously. Even
Yeah.
though they don't like comment, but I see them sharing a lot, so it makes me believe that they're still listening. I get people in my workplace that get excited about episodes and they come to me and say, "Oh, I listened to your show," or "I told somebody else here at work about your show and they're going to listen."
Yeah,
to
you
it."
got one big supporter who I'm hoping to have here by the time this episode releases. We already shouted him out in the live that we did.
Yep.
Which we did at the time of the recording of this. Nick Daniels.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say his first and last name because
Yeah,
he's gonna be a part of this team.
bought a shirt, man.
That's like the support he has shown us, the advertisement he has given us by word of mouth and showing constantly plugging our stuff, and him coming up to you saying, can I be a part of the show? There's so much I could do. Like I can help you out in any which way possible. That to me shows dedication and passion, the same amount that we're giving it.
Okay, and you know what the thing is, and a lot of people can say like, "Oh, I want to help out. I want to help out. I want to help out."
Of course.
And I love that. I
Yeah.
love the enthusiasm. One of the things I loved about when Nick was coming on board was that not only did he want to help, but he would also talk to me about his theories and stories that he has heard and different things like that. It's all the stuff you haven't heard yet.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that he is a fan of the subject matter before the show.
So I already have a plan for him when we finally bring him in.
I love how this is turning into a Nick Daniels episode.
Why not?
We're gonna have to bring him on to interview him at least.
So, okay, can I get to my point?
Yep.
So I plan on, when we finally bring him in, we're going to sit him down. Before we put him behind the scenes and get him to work, we're going to sit him down and we're going to grill him. I'm going to grill him.
You're gonna grill him?
Yeah.
On the air?
Yeah. We'll do a Nick Daniels episode.
Right now, he's listening right now.
Yeah.
And he's doing like the schoolgirl happy dance in his
You think
truck
so?
right now. I know he is.
Come on.
I know he is.
Well,
Just
shout
the
out to you, Nick. Thank you for being a huge supporter. We appreciate it, and welcome to the team.
Absolutely. And it's not just a shout out to Nick as well. I know we have friends like Amy who has supported us, bought shirt
every week.
Every week. We have Victor.
Mm-hmm.
We have, and there's a whole bunch of people I see sharing our stuff all the time.
Yeah, and I'm not
Friends
trying to
and
discount
family.
them. I'm not trying to discount the support that they've given us as well. I'm just stating that because we decided to recruit this guy and make him a part of our team doesn't mean that we're going to do that for everybody who shows us support. What we're going to do is we'll give you shout outs like this, like thank you for being a supporter. Thank you for standing by our sides. And thank you for giving us the time of day and watching us become what we want to become. And we're not even there yet. We're not even at the point where, and we're just going to keep growing and we're just going to keep on, evolving.
Well, it's even, like thanking the searchers for how much they've shared our stuff, supported us as we support them.
With a community their size, they didn't have to do that.
I know. I love it.
They're always they're on our page quite a bit. They're interacting with us. They're showing us love.
Josh, Ray, and Shane are amazing. I want to go down and do some work with them and meet them or just have fun and hang out and drink with them. I don't care what it is. But like even when they shared our stuff, we were getting exposure. And when you made that
the birthday
post and they shared it and like people were adding me on Facebook. I had no idea who they were.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay, cool. Let's keep networking.
Yeah.
And I want to get to the point where we can do that for other people too.
Yeah.
I want to help other people if we're growing our audience, I want to share with our audience other cool stuff that we are into and watching and reading and just sourcing all this stuff and keeping the community growing and stuff.
I'll say this. If we ever get to the point where this is what we're doing for a career,
pay us.
My number one rule for anybody who makes it big is to always stay humble. Remember where you came from.
100%.
Remember who was there from the start.
100%. And this is the type of thing I never expect podcasting to be something that takes you into a professional level.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it, as you know, and some of our listeners know, I did it before for like 3 years on a different show. And we've been doing this for like 3 months, almost 4 months now by the time this comes out. I'm not expecting that we're going to gain any kind of professional monetary level.
No.
We're not making anything off of this right now.
Nothing.
I'm spending money.
And that's good.
I'm spending money. You're spending money. Like, money's being spent because we love doing it. This. And if there's just one listener, we'll just keep going.
And I will say this too. And I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to give her the shout out she deserves. I could not do any of this without the support of my wife. My wife is my biggest fan, my biggest supporter. Mm-hmm. She always asking me, what do you think of this for the studio? What do you think of that? What do you think of this for the podcast? What do you think of that? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? She is not only my biggest supporter, but she is also my biggest pull down. Anytime I feel like I'm lifting away from it, she pulls me back down. And she's like, listen, you need to do this. And I'm not saying that I've ever steered away from the podcast. It's that sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough, that I'm not putting in my all like I should be. I'm not giving it my 110%.
Listen, man, this is the way I see it, and this is a very real conversation that we're having on the air. Our basis, the way we started this, we just wanted to do a podcast that came out once a week. Mm-hmm. That's what we said. We're going to do a podcast that comes out once a week, and we've provided a podcast that comes out once a week. And if that's all we do, we've accomplished what we set out to do. Is put out a podcast once a week.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. All the extra stuff that we've been doing, trying to make content. I know there's video content that we've taken and hasn't been put out yet. That stuff, it's all extra bonus stuff. Mm-hmm. It's all stuff that we have fun with when we have time to do it.
Yeah.
I know that for me, it feels like my level is on 110% because my brain is so hyper focused. When I'm not doing this podcast, I'm still doing the research, the obsessing, watching videos, YouTube, TV, reading, and it's not just for the podcast. It's because that's
your passion.
That's my passion. That's what I'm into. Like it'll be listening to John Tenney 1 minute, and then watching Greg and Dana the next minute, and reading a John Keel book, and then searching the internet about UFOs, watching Congress talk about UFOs. Like it's having conversations with people at work about different subject matters.
Mm-hmm.
It's on constantly. So I'm constantly doing it. I don't expect that everybody around me is going to be constantly doing it all the time. We all have lives.
Mm-hmm.
Your biggest fan is your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Mine girlfriend at home is also a huge supporter. She wants me to never stop doing this because she knows it makes me happy. Is she my biggest fan? I'm gonna give her second because the dog Scout is my biggest fan.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Scout is my biggest fan.
Scout's amazing, dude. I remember when we first started.
Shout out Scout.
Shout out Scout. And that's fine. See, okay, quick pause on that. I will come back to that. Before we even started, you're like, man, I don't want to rip anything from anyone. This person says this and this person says that, and I don't want to do that. Bro, everybody says shout out too.
Yeah, I know. I got you.
And that was one of the rules that you said. I'm never going to say shout out to because XYZ says this. You know what? Fuck all that noise. Shout out. Motherfucking shout out to the fucking shout outs.
You're like a sailor today.
Yeah. All right. So back to Scout. He was literally holding us down, bro. Like, I'd be sitting on one couch, you'd be sitting on the other couch. And where was Scout? Right to my left or right to your right.
Yeah.
And he was there the whole time, like
I think in the
watching us.
First episode or two, you can hear him walking around. His name's clicking on the floor.
Yeah.
But listen, when I say he's my biggest fan, because like I'll get pictures while I'm at work, and he's like standing up on the couch, or he'll be sitting on the couch facing the wrong way. So a human sits on the couch and you face the TV.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be sitting facing the back of the couch, but he's not looking at the back of the couch. He's watching the front door of the apartment because he's waiting for me to come. Waiting for me to come through the front door. So she'll send me pictures of this all the time. He'll be like standing up on the back of the thing, and sometimes videos of like he's coming home soon, and we have a ritual. Like I come home, he gets excited. We go down to the bedroom, kind of unwind from work. He jumps up on the bed, and we kind of nudge into each other a bit, do a little, hey, you're home, hey, okay. And then he's like, did you bring me French fries today? Like, he's always waiting for French fries. He wants those French fries.
Bro, I wish I would have known that anytime I'd come over. I'd stop at the chip truck and grab him some French fries.
No, he wants McDonald's French fries.
I'll do that too, bro. I'm down for some Mickey fries. I'm so down for some Mickey fries.
But that's why I say he's my biggest fan. I love people that are engaged in all this topics. Mm-hmm. Going out to see the Paranormal Seekers, and doing an event with them.
How was that? We never spoke about it.
No, we didn't. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. They presented a bunch of evidence from a case file that they did at Ameliasburg Settlers Village, and they had a good crowd too.
Didn't you say they spoke about us? Or to you?
Hold on. We get there. There's a whole bunch of people, like maybe 20 people, 25 people. They're presenting their evidence, and then after that, they talk about all the equipment that they have, and then they go on a mini investigation, and you spend 15 to 20 minutes in 4 different locations, each one.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get there, the lady, the curator for the museum, is like, I need your name. So I give her my name and Dom's name.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, oh, Jason, they're expecting you. I'm like, what does that mean? Aren't they expecting everybody on the list?
Yeah.
Like, I would think.
You would think so.
So it was cool, though, because I walked in, and I've always known who Rachel Cross is from
Sure.
Paranormal Seekers. She's the founder. And I was always, on the way there, I was like, I assume she knows who I was. I never really worked with her, but always knew of each other. Kind of started Durham Paranormal at the same time she started Paranormal Seekers. We each did our own thing. Never really trying to compete or anything like that. It was just two different groups doing their own thing. Cool. Get there, and there's like somebody who's like, hey, Jason, like, and I'm like, I don't know who this person is that's saying hi to me.
Did you do the awkward, hey?
Yeah. Hi.
Hey.
Yeah. But it turns out her mom knew who I was. I worked with her mom.
Okay.
Which was cool. So made that connection. And then another one of the gentlemen from the team said hello to me. And then I got to talk with Rachel, and she was like, yeah. She goes, I think she thinks we've actually met. It could be my old man memory that doesn't remember.
Sure.
But she remembered meeting Rick and stuff like that. Which was really,
from back in the day.
Yeah. So really cool. And then we did I just sat and I watched. We were there to just have fun.
Sure.
And that's all I wanted to do. So we did that and did our little investigations in each of the locations, like a church, a log cabin, a wheelhouse like barn, and an old schoolhouse.
Sure.
Really cool. Each location was awesome. I can't say enough that to the seekers, like, if you get a chance and you're local to our area, being like Ontario, Southern Ontario, Central Ontario, whatever, South Central Ontario, wherever,
Southern Ontario,
GTA, and around it, go to the Paranormal Seekers website. They do events, public events, and even just experiencing that one little one that we did, I would say go and do an event with them. It's fun because they'll guide you through it. You get hands-on with the equipment.
Sure.
We don't, like, Durham Paranormal, we don't have an SLS camera, but I got to use an SLS camera. And
nice.
I always wanted to.
How was it?
It was cool. Heavy.
Heavy?
I can't see holding it all night long. Now I know why some of them have straps to hold it to a vest. And I used a couple other little tools and stuff. And they had, like, every tool you could think of, which is, as an investigator, you're seeing candy on the table. Like, I want to touch it.
Oh, I want one of those.
All the toys, yeah. So I had an idea, and I don't know how we're gonna flesh it out. But I have an idea, and maybe it'll get some excitement going for the listener. What I'm thinking?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking. We already covered this. I'm thinking all the time.
Okay.
What I'm thinking is we're gonna have some kind of contest, either with Patreon when we launch it, or something on the website, or something. We haven't figured out the details. We're going to talk about it, figure it out. And I think when we pick a winner, what we'll do is we'll buy 2 tickets spot. So for somebody to go.
Yeah.
With like Paranormal Seekers or somebody.
Yeah.
And we'll buy tickets too. So you go on a ghost hunt or whatever with the Paranormal Seekers.
With us.
And with the Elements of the Unknown guys there as well. And we all get to go and just have some fun.
Sure.
I don't know how it's going to work. It was an idea that popped into my head. Maybe we'll figure it out.
Maybe.
If that's what people want to do.
Yep. We got to hear from you guys, though.
We're not like the searchers. We can't fly people from like the moon to come to us and search with us, but
they're flying people from the moon.
They're like doing their Patreon contest. Once they hit 100, they're flying somebody
people to the moon.
I think it's one person to come do investigations with them anywhere they want.
To go to a moon.
To the moon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying the literal thinking on you.
It wasn't.
Stop looking at the time. Screw it, man. It goes how long it goes.
I'm not worried about that. I always look at the screen to make sure it's still moving.
Imagine.
It's happened, dude. Back in the day when I had my old show, there'd be times where we'd be like,
shout it out.
Ultimate Gravity Show.
Shout out Ultimate Gravity. Yeah.
There'd be times where we'd be yakking away, and I had the thing minimized, and I bring it up, and it was like, oh, it only recorded 2 minutes, and then it stopped, and I don't know why it stopped. And back then, our episodes were like an hour and a half. So can you imagine? It's like, I don't want to go through that again. We'll just turn it off and do it again tomorrow. Yeah, because you're just like, I just spoke for an hour and a half about stuff, and none of it recorded. But we also did a different format with our show. We did a lot of lives and stuff like that. So
Yeah, so I noticed that was the biggest difference between our show and your guys' show is Ultimate Gravity show did a lot of live.
that's how we started.
That was your base of your platform was live episodes.
Facebook Live had just come out. It was just a brand new thing to go Facebook Live. And
Do you remember when I started going live?
I was like, oh, you know what? Let's just go live. And then it turned it into Scott and I being live. And then we're like, oh, let's just do this all the time. And then it turned into a podcast.
I tried to start a little series called Driving with Justin.
I don't remember this.
You don't remember the Driving with Justin
sorry,
one?
an old man memory. I don't remember it.
It's funny because you told me that inspired you to start those lives was the Driving with Justin. Anyways, I planned on doing that series and I just never followed through with it. Just because I don't have that. So you see a lot of content creators who are
Maybe we'll
able
make
to
that bonus content for
Driving with Justin.
Driving with Justin to locations.
I can do that, but if you noticed when I did the live by myself, I'm awkward as hell. And I don't know what to talk about.
And then you just end up talking about the same thing 6 times.
6 times over in 6 different ways. So yeah, I'm building stuff and I'm assembling stuff and yeah, so
Jason's not here.
Jason's not here, but that's okay.
Yeah, he must have said it like 4 times. Jason's not here, but that's okay. Like, yeah, we know.
I just love what we have. Man, not even the fact that I have a podcast. I get to hang out with who I can consider my closest friend in my life, shoot the shit about whatever, go out, hang out till God knows what time, and just enjoy being in the presence of you.
I appreciate that, man. I feel the same way, and I appreciate that.
And it feels good to just...
And I feel like I get to have you appease my obsession with the unknown, which is... I needed that outlet.
I didn't think that we'd ever do something like this. I always thought I'd be in some sort of entertainment business. My wife is always like... Actually, a lot of people around me were like, you should get into acting. You're a great actor. You're funny. You get into stand-up, stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know about the entertainment business. It's a shifty business. And then I got introduced to podcasting, and I started listening to podcasts, and I'm like, man, this is cool. People just sit, shoot the shit about what they like.
It is. There's a basic easiness to it, but at the same time, there's a little more work than what people think goes into it.
Yeah, it's not a cakewalk.
I've had somebody in the past ask me advice on starting a podcast. They started asking questions, and when I started answering those questions, they eventually said, oh, there's a lot more to this than I realized. That's kind of intimidating. Look, it doesn't have to be intimidating. Anybody can sit down, turn a microphone on, and start talking.
Yeah.
And then publish it. It's trial and error. I was lucky enough that Ultimate Gravity Show was a learning ground for me where I learned some things about what I didn't want to do moving forward.
Yep.
And trial and error of things that work and don't work for me. And the nice thing is that our show, as much as it's about the unknown and it's a wide variety, the Ultimate Gravity Show was about anything and everything. So there was no genre to it. And when people said, oh, what is Ultimate Gravity Show about? I'm like, it's a variety show. You could talk about wrestling one night, and then the next night we're talking about World War II, and then the next night we're talking about ghosts, and then the next night we're talking about video games, and then, it was all over the place. At least with this, we have a focus group.
Mm-hmm.
It's the unknown.
Do you feel constricted in that sense?
No, because the topics are so wide.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can just look back at our last 3 months and look at all the topics that we've talked about. And we barely scratched the surface on all of those topics. We could explore deeper and deeper on each one. and telling stories. And
Yeah.
it's just, there's so much there. It's a never-ending river of information that I just love to dive into.
Man, we've gone into everything like what? We've gone into ghosts.
Bigfoot, aliens.
You tried it.
I said Bigfoot. Now I got to eat a Bigfoot. I'll wait for you to
Bigfoot.
finish shooting yours so that I'll talk while you chew, and then we don't get a whole bunch of blah, 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 blah.
Got Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, Hollow Earth. We've gone into exorcisms most recently. We've gone into
Time travel. Montauk experiment.
There's so much still. Like, things I'm not even thinking of right now. We've gone into zombie pizzas.
The mixed match episodes. They're incredible.
My favorite episode? Bigfoot.
Bigfoot was your favorite?
That was my favorite. Here's why. We made nothing into something. We went into that episode, zero information, zero research. Because back then, it was like, at that time, we're like, actually, full disclosure, every time before we start to really talk, we have no idea what we're actually going to talk about.
Yeah, example, this episode.
Hey, Justin, what do you want to talk about now? What are we going to get into now? And I have to think of these topics right off the hop, and I'm like, I don't know. And I just blurted out Bigfoot. And I went to the washroom like, fuck, I have no idea about Bigfoot. I love Bigfoot. I love the topic. I love the idea of Sasquatch. But then when I listened back to the episode, and I've listened back to it a few times, because anytime I introduce someone to our platform, that's the episode that I play.
Okay.
Only because I'm proud of the fact that we went into it with zero research, and it was fun. We had fun within that, and you could hear how much fun we were having. And at the time when we were recording it, I was like, man, this episode's gonna be shit. This sucks. I don't like this. And then when it came out, I'm like, bro, I started laughing. I'm like, I was laughing with us. Like, I was actually listening to somebody else doing a podcast. I'm like, man, this is actually a really good episode.
Yeah, it's fun.
It turned out to be really good.
The fun part about that episode, I thought, was that you had this belief that there was not a lot of material about Bigfoot out there, and there is so much material about Bigfoot. And that just exemplified that you haven't found all that material yet.
Still, to this day.
And it's like, and then when you think about that, it's kind of exciting because you know that there's so much new information out there to watch.
Well, because you're always giving me new sources to go check out, and it's like,
I know you can't keep up. I'm going a mile a minute, man.
And but that's cool. Someone has to do it, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, there's tons of Bigfoot shows I haven't watched yet, like Expedition Bigfoot.
Right,
it's got like tons of seasons. I haven't seen any of it.
I gotta say, my favorite point in time throughout this show. My favorite point in time was getting it off the ground.
Yeah, that's what I said, getting it off the ground.
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
I've enjoyed interviews with guests. Angela from Buddhist
those were cool.
A lot of fun. I know that we've gone out with her and did an investigation.
Yep.
I know our fans haven't got that footage yet. It's still...
what do you plan on doing with that?
It's an editing...
I don't know if I want to release that.
I don't know that I don't want to say editing nightmare. It's an editing project, and it's an editing project that I might have somebody else involved in helping me with the editing. I definitely want to chop it down into some form of episode because we went out with people and did it. We'll see what kind of material. It might only be a quick video. I'm not 100% certain yet. But we'll see, and we'll talk about it, and we'll hopefully get it out.
Yeah.
I have another video that may or may not be out by the time this comes out of just touring through a haunted cemetery. And we're just in the car, and we're just driving through it because you can drive through it.
Okay.
And just kind of footage of checking out the cemetery, the new part, the old part, stuff like that. I'm not sure if we'll release it, but we're constantly filming
the content's
everything.
there.
Yeah. So there's stuff that gets unreleased, and that might be stuff that gets used later on as kind of extra stuff.
Yeah.
So, but those are the moments that are fun, like interviewing. We interviewed Gary and
That was
Angela.
such a cool episode, man. Like
Yeah,
the
we got
fact
to learn
how
stuff.
deep he got, and the fact that we didn't even ask him to go there with that information, and he went there and he exposed his personal life, and sensitive topics, and it was amazing just how he was able to get so comfortable in the episode and just tell us more about him that I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And he educated even me. Not saying that that's a difficult task, but I'm saying like he educated me about my family and where my family actually stands within the I guess the Native community. He's a very, if you know Gary personally, he's a very fun person, and he's very interesting to talk to because he's a great conversationalist. A great conversationalist. That's why I was glad to get him onto the podcast, because how good of a conversationalist he is. See, there we go with words again. I almost struggled with that one.
Yeah, I'm just letting you have it.
But to kind of drift off that, we're still, like I said before, we're still evolving, we're still growing, we're still discovering our identity, I guess. We're in our we're in our toddler years of this,
I guess,
of this podcast, of this journey, of this business that we're building.
So you asked me what my favorite part was, and we covered that. What I would ask, what is something out of all the stuff that we've talked about, is there anything in there out of all those episodes, did something get brought up and you want to put focus on something and create an episode out of? Or something you want to dive deeper into? For example, when we did Hollow Earth, we talked about the Anunnaki, and for me, I want to dive more into the Anunnaki and learn more, and even if it's not a podcast episode, like, it's caused me to want to learn more about the Anunnaki and the history of it and the ancient alien belief to it and stuff like that. What was wild is the day we cut Hollow Earth 3 and talked about the Anunnaki, I went home and I put on a TV show called Ancient Aliens, and I just picked the next episode in line of what I've been watching, and the episode that came on talked about the Anunnaki, and it was like all about the stuff that I had already talked about on the episode. It was crazy, and it just drove me even more to like, I want to learn more about this. Right? Is there something out of everything we've talked about that you want to dive more into?
Aliens?
Yeah. Oh man, that's gonna circle around. You gotta read John Keel. I definitely want to explore more UFO and alien stuff for sure. Maybe that was something we could...
Because there's a case that you had brought up.
Barney and Betty Hill? Yeah.
I want to do an episode just about them.
Okay.
And it's been done on other podcasts, but that's okay. They haven't done it the way we're going to do it.
Sure.
I know before you said, it's not focused too much on thanking and pushing that gratitude. Well, I just want to thank everybody for supporting us, sharing, talking about us to their friends, family, co-workers. I want to thank you for doing this with me. It's...
Man, you're acting like it's a farewell speech.
Nope. I just want to say thank you for doing this with me, because it's kind of like, like I've said before in the past, it's filled a void. Something I was going to say before is I'd always say to the wife, man, I miss hanging with the boys. Like the car days, like the car scene days, man. Like every night was hanging with the boys, shooting the shit, doing whatever. This is kind of like that. Like I'm hanging with a boy. I'm hanging with my boy. We're relating to shit, having fun, having laughs, like sharing laughs with everybody. Like, I can't wait to do this more forever. this will never end.
All right. Good.
This is never going to stop.
That's the last farewell speech you'll ever hear from Justin.
It's not a farewell, man. I'm trying to get it. Man.
No. You know what? I see how deep you're going on it, man. I
trying to get deep here.
I know I joke a lot. I see how deep you're rooted into the emotion of this. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate that you're doing it on the air. I really enjoy what we do. And I appreciate the audience that we have. And appreciate doing everything with you. I also appreciate that eventually episodes have to come to an end, and
God damn it, he's doing it again.
We are going to talk about some demonology. So until then, we love you. Stay spooky.
Stay weird.